James is having strawberry, grapefruit, and nectarine Belgian waffles.
Looks pretty
today.
darn good.
And he will actually talk about the first one, the White Crow. And then I will talk about Mr. Jones, Jungle Cruise. James will talk about Anne Murray. Special, Scare Package, Black Phone, etc., etc.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, and then I have a book to review after all that, if I have time. So it's nothing much. We'll get to it eventually. If I don't do it today, then eventually. So you go on with the White Crow, and then I'll go on with the rest.
How long's this fork been here?
A while.
Yeah, I can lift up the table almost.
See, I made breakfast a while ago.
Oh, yeah.
And expecting James would be over.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I guess my law of attraction for James was not working until I gave up. And then he came right away, which was funny, right?
So you'd put things away. Well, I had to listen to Matt Galloway. He actually had a program that was useful on CBC.
And you'll probably talk about it after all our...
Well, if we got time. But I'm going to hopefully talk about it sometime or another. Okay, White Crow. The White Crow. Starring...
Nureyev or something?
Well, it's about Nureyev. What's his name? Vaslav or something? No, that's Vaslav Nijinsky. Rudolf Nureyev, yeah, Rudy or Rudek. They call him Rudek. Is kind of like the Russian equivalent of Rudy, for short for Rudolf. And so this is directed. I don't know if he produced it as well by Rafe. I always thought it was Ralph, but fine. Or Fien. How do they say it? Fien.
Well, you know, because you watched all the bonus stuff. Because James enjoyed the movie so much, he told me he watched the bonus stuff as well. So
So that's... Unless it's really bad, I want to find out why it's so bad. That is a sign that I really like the movie. And
I never watched the bonus stuff.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I do, but I'm disappointed, so...
You know, sometimes
usually
you
it's
expect
just because James wants to watch
humor
it,
or something like that. But
he's a completist. He likes to go through everything.
Like all
his books. It's, you know, he goes through the acknowledgements. He goes through.
Yeah.
He really gets his money's worth out of every book. So.
The index. I use that indices as review. Anyway, Rafe is what David Hare called him, and David Hare is the guy who wrote it, and I think he's a playwright. Kind of a name playwright, famed playwright, and I thought he did a good job. Now, some flunky, and this is the only negative part of the review, really trashed this. This is a library thing, right?
Oh, okay.
Someone...
It could be our DVD player, though, because it's secondhand and...
Well, most things it runs right through.
Yeah. This
had multiple glitches and stuff like that.
I guess somebody
really
loved it. Maybe they were dancing along with it.
Yeah, or afterwards, you know, like frisbeeing around, dancing. You know, I'm doing a grand jeté. You know, I'm going to be doing a retiré here with the thing on my knee, inside of my knee or something.
Dancing along with it.
Well, if you had the DVD here, a retiré is where you pull your kind of your toe up the inside of your leg. And I have taken ballet, just in case you're wondering and stuff like that. That is about ballet. You can see that there, in case you're too young to have heard of Nureyev and stuff like that. So he, I don't have to do a spoiler alert. Yeah, like this is basically mockumentary, I think is what they call it. So it's a matter of history. You will feel nervous, even though you know the result. He actually successfully defected from the Soviet Union the Russian Empire Mark 2.0. What they're going through right now is the Russian Empire Mark 3.0 with Puto, or Pukin, Vladimir Pukin, whatever you want to call him. I'm trying to avoid using, I guess Puto's kind of like a four-letter word, but in Spanish. Check that up in your Funkin' Wagon. But Yeah, it's well done. This actor here, this is his first time acting. Not the first time on stage. A legitimate dancer. From what I can tell, he's a pretty good dancer too. It's not like they just say, "Oh, okay, you're a beginning dancer" or whatever. And it looks as though, the people that were in the company, that showed him getting trained. It showed him when he was a little young pup, and of course it wasn't played by him. He was a very cute little kid playing him as a young pup. Way back, I think they were saying it's the Bashkir Republic. So I always said Ufa, the place where he came from, but I think they were saying Ufa.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's what the Russians do. They really funnel people into various streams when they're young. Or at least that's what I've heard.
Funny thing is, he was a late developer. I believe in late development.
And I do too. And I think that's the problem with our system also, is that passive people, in general, especially the more amiable ones, not the analytical ones, but I think they develop later. So I think they end up being more mature people and well-rounded learners.
Yeah.
But they might not be top of the field until they're 45 or something.
And if you're well-rounded, you're so much better at being
top of the field.
Also
of anything.
Between fields.
Yeah.
That's the important thing for creativity.
Yeah, and so
the people who dominate fields tend to be one-hit wonders.
Exactly.
They get an early success, and then after age 25, all they do is defend that success.
The rest of their successful career is on the backs of amiable people.
Exactly right, and really, they're jumping on the back, stomping up and down. So this guy, you're very perceptive, because he was kind of like not like the other dancers. Like he'd go to Paris and he'd be visiting the Louvre, and they showed him like reciting things in his head, kind of like what I do when I go to sleep, right? Instead of counting sheep, I'll be saying, okay, how many...
You go through geographical things, like rivers and place names and whatever.
Or historical things. Yeah. Or how many philosophers can I name? How many, or I'll review languages, like so on and so forth, just words and so on and so forth. Or just naming languages in North America or South America, whatever. So it displayed that time. So it showed him when he was young, and then it showed him when he was at this stage. I think they were saying he was 17, and the guy who instructed him, a guy called Pushkin. He also Pushkin instructed Mikhail Baryshnikov, and that's not in the movie. It's in my head. I'd heard about him as Pushkin, played by Rafe Fiennes, or whatever, Fiennes, however you pronounce his name. So Mikhail Baryshnikov, this would be about 1968, about 10 years after he was developing Nureyev. But it's what was I going to say? Yeah. So they're saying you got 6 years of development to do. And he says, I'm going to do it in 3 years, because he came to it late. Yeah. And this guy had heart, Nureyev. I think he was a bigger person. He definitely seemed bigger on stage, or bigger presence, a much handsomer guy. This guy's handsome, make no mistake about it. But Nureyev was drop dead gorgeous, really, when you get down to it. And they were talking about one time, I can remember this anecdote, where he was just got so carried away on stage, he ended up it might have been a chenet or something like that, which is a bunch of, they're like pirouettes except you're moving across the stage. He ended up finishing his line off stage. But there has to be heart along with technique. I believe in technique.
Yeah.
But there has to be heart there too. And Nureyev had it, but he also had a brain. And I'm telling you, it'd be hard to find a more courageous guy around now. What he did was he defected from the Soviet Union, and they're telling him you could get poisoned. The Soviet Union did that. Well, it could have been an ice pick in the head, like it was with Trotsky about 1940 in Mexico. Leon, they call him. It was really Liev, something like that. That's just his Spanish name that he would have been using in Spain. Lord only knows what he was called in Turkey, but he was exiled in Turkey. And Trotsky was an exile in Turkey for a while. But yeah, they're saying you could get, I think they might have said poisoned, but killed. And of course, we know how Putin is. He, someone I know that I consider kind of highly, but when they say something like this, Putin. He said more than once, Putin is a capitalist. He was a secret agent working for the KGB back when he was young. He volunteered before he was 18, I think. 1968 it was, when the Soviet Union was crushing a freedom movement, democratic movement in Czechoslovakia. He volunteers. This is what the kind of scumbag he's always been. He's a career criminal. He's a career war criminal. He's a career criminal against humanity, this Putin guy. So he's a brave guy. You know what I'm saying? And it is quite the last scene, like when he's defecting. It's kind of like I kind of improvised it. It is a real nail biter. So this comes highly recommended. Don't buy it, of course, but we got it from the library. If you can do that, or dial it up on Netflix, you're gonna have to pay some money for that, but it's well worth it. They're asking David Hare, like the interviewer. I don't know how perceptive she was, because she was saying to Rafe Fiennes, talk about your character. She said, he seems quite terrifying, and you can see he's an actor, and but he couldn't hide the fact that he was distressed. He didn't know, because you could see, like, he seemed imposing at first, like he's very quiet, and Nureyev asked him, so have you got something positive to say to me? No. You got, at least you have nothing negative to say, and nothing negative. But he's an intimidating kind of guy, this Pushkin guy. But it shows him, and it must be because Nureyev was living with him and his wife in this crowded little apartment. Pushkin knew he was going someplace, and his wife is trying to feed him properly. He's just a young pup, and of course, food wasn't that good in the Soviet Union. Yeah, you could see this guy Pushkin had a heart of gold, right? And the interviewer, it just got
missed it.
Yeah, totally. But she asked David Hare, like, what can you do? Like, you're stuck. You can't really be creative. And he's going, I had to make up the dialogue. You can't really make up the plot. Sorry for taking so much time. We've got so much to cover, okay. But I'm very enthused about this movie.
Okay. So I'm going to get into this. This Mr. Jones, you may notice that backwards R. We're talking about Russia. So I got two Russian on the top of the pile here. But it just happened that way. So this one's about Gareth Jones, an ambitious Welsh journalist. And he went to the Soviet Union in 1933, and he ends up influencing George Orwell in his writing of Animal Farm. And it's great.
So already in 33 he was figuring out how bad it was. Eh?
Yeah, he went there and it was incredible. Mm-hmm. I mean, the tourists were only
because I haven't heard about this Welsh
really
guy.
Good. So
I don't think.
Yeah, he was.
What's his name?
Gareth Jones.
I might have heard of him, but
he went into Russia. And he traveled there. One of his friends was suggesting something and the line went dead. And I think that's really key, because you're like, okay, well, who cut off the line, right? And it's interesting to look at the newspapers in Britain. They were really favorable to Russia. They're like, oh yeah, this
probably the Manchester Guardian leading the pack.
So anyway, you have that, right? And this guy, he goes in, and the woman's asking, well, what paper do you work for? Then, like, who's funding your travel, kind of thing? And he's like, me, right? And she's like, okay, well, you're only allowed in Moscow, and and that's the tourists were, or she didn't say that. I think some of the other, he met up with 6 engineers that they were famous, right? And so he saw them in the hotel that he was directed to go to, and they didn't really want him there, so they said, it's full, so you only have 2 nights here. And he said, but my passport says I'm allowed a week. And they're like, no, 2 days. So he's like, oh, okay. So he sees these engineers, they get talking, and they tell him that anybody who comes into the country, they're only allowed in Moscow. And they'll keep the tourists from going elsewhere. And
they will monitor you in the hotels. I was there a couple of months after the Soviet Union went down. It was shocking. You had to leave your key and pick it up from a woman. There was a person, concierge or whatever, on each floor, and they'd be keeping track of when a person was going in and going out. This was after the Soviet Union ended.
Yeah.
They also had concierges or something like that in the men's washrooms, and they seemed to be women. I think they were keeping track of homosexual activity, but also maybe that's where spies go to. I don't know, but it was really creepy. I gotta tell you,
this movie is so great to watch. If you are one of those people that are thinking, "Oh, Russia good, Ukraine bad," or whatever, watch this movie, and it might change your mind about things. I mean, they had he managed to get away. He managed to get out into the countryside. He wanted to go to where his mother had taught English in the Ukraine, and so he made it there, and it was not as it was reported to be, and there were people, orphan children everywhere, people starving.
There'd be lots of orphans, and this is after the famine.
And
33.
Like, at some point, some kids stole his food from him, so he was having to live like they were having to live. So he was eating tree bark and stuff. And if you hike like James and I do, you see sometimes in a bad year, you'll see the shrubs aren't doing so well because and then the trees, because the deer are stripping them because they're hungry, they're starving. They'll eat the tree bark when the years are tough. And so seeing, a person having to resort to that, it's heart-wrenching, right? But what a great movie. Definitely watch this movie. So good.
I'll probably have more to say about it once I've seen it. I've got to watch it.
So Jungle Cruise, this one has The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. And it's a Disney movie. It's up near the top. Honestly, Disney's doing a pretty good job with movies lately. And so they're back to writing stuff, making stuff that people actually want to watch. And I think every family would want to watch this. It's really enjoyable.
Now, this was a DC product, you're saying?
Nope, that one's DC. Disney.
Okay.
The DC one's near the bottom.
Oh, there we
go. So, Anne-Marie.
Did that feature Rock as well?
Yep.
Oh, there. Wow.
You want to talk about Anne-Marie?
Yeah. Okay, Anne-Marie, good Canadian gal. And like so many good Canadians, down from the Maritimes. Thank you, Maritimes, for being such nice people. You're the archetypal Canadians as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I can remember, I must have seen Anne-Marie. She used to be on a show called Sing Along Jubilee. I think this is her. She used to sing barefoot, apparently. It wasn't one of my favorite shows. It was a CBC product. They had some fairly good shows back then. But this shows her starting at the beginning and all that sort of stuff. I don't know how recent it is, but she first made it big in 1970 with Snowbird. And then, they were showing all her hits that failed in the United States. I go, I know that one. So there were semi-hits in Canada. And then she had something called Danny's Song or something like that. Was a big hit here and a big hit in the United States. And, every so occasionally she'd have a hit, so on and so forth. She's done pretty well for herself in the United States, along with Gordon Lightfoot and Neil Young and so on and so forth, Joni Mitchell, and a certain number of Canadians. Never my favorite, but... I'm not going to sneer at people who like her music. I think she's a wonderful person, wonderful voice, just kind of, I can remember an account from Chris Christopherson or something like that, who has, like, it's not the worst voice in the world, not as bad as Willie Nelson's, I don't think, nor as bad as Bob Dylan's, I don't think. Doesn't have as much character as Bob Dylan's, but he was saying, he was singing duet with Anne Murray.
Oh dear.
she kind of kicked up. No. He was saying, man, oh man, I sing so much better when you're singing with me. That's probably true. She's got that sweet voice, and she. So I don't know, singing or doing backup or something like that. She's that kind of person, like a good Canadian. She's just good for the soul, I think. So all you Anne Murray fans, I think you're going to want to watch this, listen to it, so on and so forth. Maybe not enough other music in here, but that's usually the case with movies about music and personalities. I usually just want to listen to the music, the occasional bit of commentary.
Okay, so next on the list, also worth watching, is Special. And it's more of an indie sort of film, and I have a few here that are. And it says on the cover, he's not your ordinary superhero, and there's a little pill there. And it's an interesting movie. I don't want to give anything away. It's not how you would expect it to be, but anybody who watches this would care about this character, and everyone should watch it. So I don't want to give anything away. It's a good superhero movie. Scare Package.
Scare, not care package?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
It's another kind of indie thing. And it seems to me, it seems like a movie that some instructor said, okay, well, we're going to make so many short movies that are kind of pieced together to make one movie over the semester. And
so this is a university instructor?
Yeah, well, no, I'm just making that up. Oh. I'm saying that's what the feel is.
Okay.
So it's like there's a bunch of little movies, and at the end they have credits for each individual part of the thing. So it is set up like that, right? Even in the credits, it's set up like each little part was just a part. But they do fit together nicely, and most of them, not all actually, but still they fit together. Even those ones fit together well enough that it's as one complete scare package movie. It works, and it's kind of funny. It's a horror, but it's kind of interesting, and I don't want to give too much away from that either. It's more done in the lines of a horror movie that it's like the makers of a horror movie, but it's real horror. I don't know. Anyway, watch it. It's worth it. The Black Phone has Ethan Hawke, and it's a horror movie that's made to look like it's done in the 70s, and it looks authentic. It looks authentically 70s. Everybody did a good job. There's some child actors in here, not really young, but they do a great job, and it's legitimately scary. Anyway, why not watch it? Drunk Bus. This one seems kind of indie and a little bit funny, and interesting enough. Like, most of it is set on a drunk bus, yet it's interesting. So why not watch it? Ankle Biters, Mummy's Little Devils. And honestly, the first problem I have with this is the title. It shouldn't be called Ankle Biters, because when people say ankle biters, they're referring to like small dogs like chihuahuas or something. I've never heard of people refer to children as ankle biters. But why not just Mummy's Little Devils as the title? Yep. And but beside that, these girls are adorable. There's 4 little daughters in this movie, and they're not interested in their new to-be dad that their mother is wanting to marry. And anyway, some things happen. One of the girls is especially bad, but they did a great job acting, and they're young. And it looks like this is Canadian because I recognized a lot of Canadian actors in here, Canadian talent, but I don't know for sure. But those girls, when I was looking at the credit, they all have the last name, same last name.
Oh,
and
all one family.
I think so. And boy, did they do a great job. So it's a horror movie, but it's not too scary. It's, you know, it's okay for me to watch, so I didn't get too scared of it. And it's worth watching just for those kids, honestly.
Yeah, sometimes with some horror movies, you used to say, James watches for me, and you'd close your eyes.
Yeah. But, well, most of these, what I've been doing with the movies is I've been writing poetry and stuff while I'm watching the movie. So I'm not watching them 100% anyway. But anyway, Black Adam. Oy, oy, oy. This had The Rock, and he was producing it, I think. I read somewhere in the credits as well, and it's really not a good superhero movie. It's pretty bad. So notice near the bottom, and the ones that it's on top of, they're not worth watching either. I don't know. I hope he makes his money back from that, but I guess he will, because people like watching superhero crap. But
yeah,
so bad.
I don't understand people who, I mean, he's kind of
He's
funny.
not black, but you know, then I was thinking, well, maybe they're just referring to the outfit. He's wearing a black outfit, and maybe that's, you know.
It didn't look good on him either.
No, it did not.
It wasn't flattering. I mean, the guy's kind of, you know, his neck is just, it's not overweight. It's just too much of it there. He looks just, well, he stopped the steroids.
I like him more in the comedy sort of roles.
I know, because he is comic.
He is. He's good at that. He wasn't good in this.
He looks goofy.
And this movie wasn't good. The movie wasn't good in this.
We like laughing at comic characters. It's stupid people. You know, like, you get the impression that his full name is not Rock, but Rockhead. You know, Rock's just a short.
I don't know. I like him in the funny stuff. Anyway.
Well, I like laughing at stupid people. So.
Okay. Hex.
That's not
this
Jonah
is,
Hex, is it?
Honestly, it seems like it was made by people who just like skydiving. It's so bad. It's a horror movie, but it's honestly, it's not worth watching.
A skydiving horror movie?
It's so bad.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I guess they thought, nobody's ever done this. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't. It was so bad. The Killer Elite. Now this one, I think it was from the 70s. 75. And it's not worth watching. You do see some naked breasts.
That is James Caan. Yeah.
Well, it's really bad.
And Robert Duvall. They were both in...
you know what? If you want to watch it, go ahead. No. But it's not good. No. It's really bad.
I think Robert Duvall's a good actor, but I generally don't like the stuff that he's in. And James Caan, I got no reason.
Okay, so now I'm going to move on to The Law of Attraction by Diane Alquist. And it says The Awakened Life. And have the abundant life you were meant to have, reprinted and updated from the Complete Idiot's Guide to the Law of Attraction. And this is a 2019 thing. And on this